Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we're going to be organizing the Paladins of the West Kingdom Legendary Box, published by Garp Hill Games, designed by Shem Phillips and S.J. McDonald. Now, this Legendary Box is going to contain all of the content from the Paladins of the West Kingdom base game, as well as the content from the City of Crowns expansion. Now, before we start, I do want to mention that this has 0 lid lift. This is a fully sleeved copy, but one important thing, we do not use the insert that comes in the original game. The insert, unfortunately for us, did not accommodate sleeved cards very well, and even when we organize things for speed up of gameplay, it's definitely going to make it so that you'll need some lid lift on the box. So it felt like it slowed down the setup, and it wasn't something that we were really interested in using. So unfortunately, we did have to remove the insert, but we really like our design instead. And one last thing before we start, if you need links to any of the things you see here, including organizers and sleeves, they'll be in the description below. And please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It really helps us grow. Now, that being said, let's get started. So first off, we're going to go ahead and lift off that box here. And inside, you're going to see that we have the main game board on top here. So this is going to be that large flat board that's going to go in the center of the table, as well as the secondary large flat board, and then the expansion flat board. So all that goes in the center of the table there. Underneath, you have one additional piece. This is going to go at the end of your track here to extend the board just a little bit more, give you more cards in order to fight and recruit, as well as to garrison commission, as well as a discard pile. So just make sure all that's on the top there, because it's going to be going in the center of the table. Up next, you'll see that we have some organizers. These are from the Dollar Tree. Once again, links in the description below. I really like having these because you can simply pop them open and they are ready to go. And you can put them onto the different sides of the table based on who's playing. So you can give that to one player, and then you can give this one to the other. Now, inside of this second one here, we have the solo marker, as well as your piece that's going to be used for the muster actions. So make sure that you're opening this one for sure. If you're playing at smaller player counts, you may only need one of these containers. So really nice. I love the way they work here. I love how small and flat they are, and I love how the bottoms are curved, so it's a bit easy to pull the pieces out. So once again, link in the description below. Up next, you'll notice that we have lots of different card decks here on the sides, and the different player bags are going to be holding them down. So each player bag is going to have a player's different garrison houses, their commissions, as well as the resolve. You're going to have your starting cash, as well as your starting provisions, and then all of your different virtue markers. So this is just going to go in a player bag, so you simply toss it to a player, they dump it on the board, they're ready to go. Make sure that you include that extra house for each player in these bags from the new expansion. So there's going to be one of those bags for each player, so we'll go ahead and take them out. And once again, all these are really doing is making sure that the cards don't move when this is being transported. So we'll go ahead and take all of those out like so. Up next, we'll go ahead and go into the large card stacks. So in here, we have fully sleeved copies of all of your assistants that you can potentially hire, including all the promos, as well as the new ones from the expansion. This next section here is going to contain more of those large cards. These are going to be the outsiders, so characters that you can convert or you can kill. And we also have a small pack here of additional sleeves if anything gets broken during play. And at the top, we have our Paladins as well as our new City of Crown cards. So these are going to be for our negotiate action. So we got all of those tiered into their different numbers, as well as all of your different Paladin cards for the different players, as well as the promo Paladin variants rules if you decide to use those. So make sure that those are separated based on their background so that each player can get their appropriate Paladins. So they're all just organized in the right and top sections for all those large cards, just in groups, because you're going to get them every single game. And then on the right side here, we have all of our small cards. I won't go into too much detail on these. If you've played this game before, you'll know exactly what these cards are. And once again, you're going to pretty much be using them in every game. You have all your cards that kind of go in the center there, the rewards for having a certain amount of negotiate actions, all of your debts. You have your different objectives here for the different players. And then you have your solo module, as well as your new negotiate or muster cards. And continuing that small stack, the rest of your muster cards, the conspiracy cards, all of your tavern cards, and then lastly, your wall cards. So all of these, once again, the link for the sleeves we use in the description below, but they're just going to go in one large stack because you basically need these every game, minus the solo mode, or if you decide to not play with that City of Crowns expansion. On the side of those large cards, you'll also have the scroll for the first player marker, as well as a silica gel packet for freshness. Up next, we go to all of the individual player boards. So we have your additional boards here. These include your muster and negotiate actions for the 4 players. You also have the new replacement board for the solo mode. This is going to go over the original. We have our 2 rule books. That way you can reference the setup, as well as all of the different abilities and new icons and new center effects. And then we have our 4 player boards. So these are, once again, double-sided, one with the main game and one with the solo mode on the other side. So very, very cool. And then your icon based on your Paladins is going to be here. So this is going to match that artwork that's on your Paladins. So make sure that you match those up, and that way you are ready to go. And that's everything in the box. Let's go ahead and pack it up. So first off, we put all of the player boards in this bottom left corner, and then we're going to go ahead and put the rule books on top of that. We'll take the solo mode for the new City of Crowns expansion. We'll take the muster and negotiate additional action boards here. We'll go ahead and put in all of our large cards, starting with our Paladins, our crown cards on top of that, all of our different assistants in that bottom right section, and then our convert and attack targets. Then we will take all of our small cards and put them in this upper right section. That way they're all leaning. You got to make sure that they do not have their sleeves on top. That way you want to avoid all the lid lift as possible. Take the scroll marker, the extra sleeves, and the silica gel packet and just put them on the side like so. We're then going to take all of the player components and use these to kind of keep these nice and snug here. And that way we keep them sectioned off and everything is not going to move when we are traveling and moving the game. Up next, we're going to put our pieces in here, and that way we have everything nice and snug. And then lastly, we're going to put those large player boards on top like so, and that way nothing is going to be moving around. And that is organizing Paladins of the West Kingdom in the Legendary Collector's Box. I hope some of you found this useful. How do you organize your copy of the Legendary Collector's Box for Paladins of the West Kingdom? Do you keep the City of Crowns and the base game stuff all together, or do you separate it out? Do you like using this giant insert, or do you find it a bit too fiddly like we did? I'd love to hear your organization methods and what you think about the game in general. But thank you so much for watching. If you aren't subscribed, please make sure that you are. It really does help us grow once again. But thank you again for being here and watching SideGame Strong.